Okay, let's get it on. Let's dance, Blue.
Imagine yourself stuck behind enemy lines. You hear voices shouting as they get
For a
closer to
reason.
your position.
I need to be.
You hear the crack
Just
of
finished
gunshots
up
all
my
around you. You
part
try
of
to
my
hide,
crew. It's not
frantically
done.
covering
I
yourself
still have
in
a few
pile
more
of
parts to
leaves.
go, and
You
this
hear
is
the
not
pounding
final
of boots
copy.
coming
This has
closer
got to
and
take
closer. And then the
the meat
unthinkable
grinder,
happens and
but I
you're
need to fix
captured.
it into this
Taken to a
form
prison
because
where you're
I can
forced
adjust
into an
with
isolated cell with
what
a
is
bag
this,
over your
a
head,
6x9
while loud,
by
terrifying
8x11
psychological
piece of
warfare music
paper
is played
XL.
at full volume.
Here
This
we
is
can
a
do
taste of what the
pattern
U.S.
cut
military's
coefficients
survival,
and everything
evasion,
else with the
resistance,
grid
and
work
escape
here.
course is like. It prepares
And,
soldiers
and
for
figure out
several
what is
realities.
necessary
How
for
to avoid
scale, for
capture,
size
how to
dailies, the
navigate
weekly
and live off the
versions,
land,
notes, how much you
and
want
how
to
to
put in
build
there for
makeshift
writing
shelters.
at the day,
What do you
for
do if you're
equipment. I used to do it
captured?
for saws.
In this
and
video, I
skid
want to find
steer,
out
so you would want
everything we need
a
to
section
know
in there
about
for floor
SEER school.
technique,
In order to get to the
personnel,
bottom of this,
and you got to
I've
figure
read
out
through a
what
recently
form that is, and that's a real
declassified
pain in the behind.
35-page document
So,
written
like,
by a
obviously,
former SEER
when we get through the
instructor
first part of
that
this, it's pretty
outlines
good.
how they operate. As
The
always,
lotto
none of
is
the
subject to
information
change because I
present
know it
here
has
will
something to
be
do.
sensitive.
It's like when I go to
It's
the lotto
all
note, this
publicly
may not be
available. I'm
fixed.
not breaking any
There
so
might
don't
be
worry.
money
The
to the
outline
price
makes
of the
it clear
ticket to its
instructors are
position
to be
and why
harsh
it's
and
relative that
realistic
way to add
with
it.
training.
And
Their
that's
goal is to
acceptable.
put
I can
students
go about
through
doing
sleep
this a few different
deprivation,
ways. I'm just
hunger,
doing for
boredom,
easy transition. There's a
exhaustion,
training method of
isolation.
standing your feet in front
One
of
of
the
the only
lotto and
schools
going.
where they use
Dollar
physical
ticket
abuse,
left
but
to
throughout
right,
the document,
everything
they
left to
provide
right,
safety
even if it's
regulations
not the
to
highest value.
prevent
You get up to the
students from being
30s with the
seriously
20s,
injured.
and you would
The
think,
goal
well, why
isn't
aren't the
to
20s
fail
here and
the
the 30s
students of
over
this
here,
course,
given the
but to
numbers,
give
because
them the
stickers
tools that they
are on
need to
applications,
succeed
which
in a
will mess you
POW
up.
situation.
Will mess
Even
you
if
up.
you've been to SEER school, there's a good chance you haven't
Tweet,
been
yeah,
through the top tier
and that's just
levels.
going to be somebody adjusting you on that. So let me just do the readout here. Alright, anyways.
Click the link in the top right of the screen to join.
Alright, so night shift list. Alright, clock in, hand sanitizer, 8x plus T. We're going to be doing that 8 times a night on an 8-hour shift. Clock in till number 1. Clock in is the first section. This is the first part of the thing. You got to do things right next to the counter because it's a big thing. Clock in. Till count, or count till, petty cash, lotto, cigarettes, clipboards, and clean behind counter area. That would be, again, some of the initial things. You're going to need to do that, talk to people, see what they got to tell you, do things. Should take an hour or two, maybe max, depending on what the customer's doing. I don't know those numbers yet, but it's probably something like that in there. Lotto, writing numbers up and down, but it keeps you on a track. So, like I said, keep till, nothing's got a hard time getting the customer in the way. Petty cash also as well, but you can stop at the 10s, at the 20s because you're writing numbers down. We'll get into that form here in a second. It looks like their form, but just in different sequence for a raw trainee. Don't want to mask you out with muffins and high-low on the floor and just too TMI on your frontal lobe with all that lotto stuff and IDs and stuff like that. So it'll just completely kill you. You ruin yourself in training. So that was the first part. That's clock in phase, right? So we'll figure out what better fixes are that, because it's good to have people have wave function numbers. And again, just for me, they're the ones that are doing it. So it's Hancock, it's the area, you can't displace too much, it's a conquest thing, and Prometheus, so you gotta pay attention to it for sure. And then work this in there, because again, I've had to do it with safety officers before. You gotta watch me, figure out my feet rotation, mark my feet for me, because that's that part of the detail, and I'll be doing stuff. Store walkthrough, check garbage and fix, check coffee and fix, check bathrooms and fix if they're necessary, priority triage. Check outside blocks, anything on the locks, make sure that that's all good, and do other things. Check coolers, check break room, or check back room and office, check gas monitors, fix, check coffee station, or coffee stock room, excuse me. And this is just a quick check phase, where we are just checking here. Remember, we have to make sure from the prior shifts to other systems that this in a very short timeline, like I said, the first part, an hour, hour and a half, maybe, I don't really know the number. That check, short of the customer stopping you to do it, ding, getting back to the counter, is, and again, shift relative, who's there, who's not there, can you fit this stuff into there, into the check of the clock in phase, because it'll be right at the back end after the till and lotto and everything like that, because that's where it should come up. It's not the end of the world if a product, and I know I'm bold for me to say something like this, it's not out of the world of possibilities that it's okay that that product didn't get sold in an early training phase. This will adjust later to they'll catch it on that one.
Getting into dicey
And
water,
so
but
this
yes,
for me,
Sears
my
School
sanity.
used to waterboard their students for
Okay,
less
so
than a minute.
store
This was
walkthrough
prior to
B. Remember that was
2002.
store
By
walkthrough
then,
A.
they
That's
had
the first
eliminated
primary
that
walkthrough.
part
Figure
of
out
the
what's going
test
on. Where's the
from the
mess?
curriculum.
Where's
Rangers,
the
Delta
problem
Force,
today?
Special Forces, and
Store
air
walkthrough
crew
B.
are all
Clean
top priority
door
for Sears
handles,
School
everything.
because they are the units that are
Coolers,
most
bathrooms,
likely
anything
to find
anybody
themselves
touches,
trapped
milk
behind enemy
things.
lines. A lot of people think
Just
this type
disinfect
of
with that
course
there
is
instead of trying to
regular
stretch
knowledge
around double
for
triples.
everyone in the
And when
military.
you're done
But
with
in
that task
reality,
completely,
your rank
there's
and
a
file
very
grunt
specific
is never
station
trained
cooler
in
kind of model
depth
to it, like
on how to survive
hot
off the
spaghetti
land.
monster
When you
noodle,
think about it, that makes
landscapers
sense
going
because it's
around
kind
cutting
of rare
grass
to hear
bi-weeklies,
about a
but here
regular grunt
in a
being
convenience store it's going to
captured.
be a daily night, comparatively to the
This
day team or
3-week-long
breakfast,
course was
where this
originally
will look
created by
very
Lieutenant
similar,
Colonel
would be
Dick
very
Rowe,
different, and it
who
follows
was
the ex-mechanics, and we're going to
himself
talk about the
actually
high-low
captured by the
stuff, the
Vietcong.
bi-weeklies,
He spent 5
the
years as a
weekly big
POW.
rotation, which is
During
on
his
check like
time
I
in
don't have yet.
captivity, he
I don't
learned
have
a
those
ton of
patterns,
useful
trucks coming
survival
in,
skills.
and
He wanted to
maybe some
pass
list to
on
figure out
that
the pattern
valuable
on
knowledge on how
what
to
trucks
avoid
come through to
captivity
figure out whether
and
if
what
it
to do
is that
if the
list or how they're
worst-case
playing
scenario
it
of
goes
being
to
a prisoner
how
of
to
war
incident
ends up
report that
happening.
correctly, even in a positive light, so you don't have to go through the information, but it was provided in a timely function without taking away from product, customer, or safety, quality, quantity, slip, trips, and falls.
If you look at SEER courses
Um,
and handbooks, all
So
the
that's
knowledge
door
in there
handles, everything
is
touch.
everything I should probably already know
Face
as a
products on
functioning member
shelves
of
first.
society.
Now
Being
you
able
can
to live
start
off the
to
land, fix a
mitigate
car
some of the
engine,
disaster.
provide
If there was
first aid
a
to
mess
oneself
on the
and others,
floor, if there
create
was
shelter
water,
in case of
they
an
are
emergency.
priority.
President
Slip,
Eisenhower
trips, and fall
issued the
hazard
executive
before
order
selling product can
1063-1, which
come
says,
into it,
quote,
but you
"Every
have to
member of
condense
the
this in a
armed
very
forces
squishy
of the
way,
United States are
where
expected to
you got
measure
to get to that
up
product
to
and
the
make sure you're
standards
selling that stuff.
embodied
So
in the
face
Code of
product on
Conduct
shelves, face
while in
cooler,
combat
store
or in
wipe down,
captivity.
sweep
These
A,
are some
and
of
sweep
our
mop,
first standard
sweep
operating
A,
procedures
mop
around
A,
captivity.
and
There's a
ice.
whole
Now,
part
the
of
reason
SEER
you would
school
think, well,
dedicated
why aren't
to
they first as a
teaching the
priority?
Code of Conduct.
Because stocking shelves and coolers just to take the look is a quick thing, and that should come before you set up for the mopping and cleaning,
The course
if those
culminates
things
in
are
a field
necessary
training
in the
exercise where the
walkthrough B
students
phase.
have to make
After
their way
counter,
through a mock
after
scenario.
checklist,
The military is actually very good
now you're
at
setting
creating
stuff
these
up,
scenarios.
sweeping and
When
mopping,
they
maybe a
captured
high priority,
students,
definitely
they take
wiping
them to a
stuff down,
prison
all
and
the
throw them in a
door
cell.
handles,
No one's allowed
knobs,
to use the
everything.
bathroom
Get a
without
rag,
permission.
that's your
The
detail right
entire
now,
time,
finish it
over the
off,
loudspeaker,
just like the
psyops
loaded cooler.
tracks are playing,
There's
which is
the roster,
dissonant
you do this
jazz
action,
mixed and
customer comes in,
horrifying
you stop at that
animal
action, you
noises
start
designed
at
to
that
keep
action,
prisoners
and
awake.
continue.
The prison guards
Even if
will
somebody else
interrogate
touched
you
it,
there.
unless there's an
They
immediate
try to
mess
find out
that's right there to
information
clean up,
on your
which
unit's
this small
location.
building, so
If
it
you
shouldn't be
don't
too hard to
cooperate,
do,
they
coffee
put you in a
station or
box
what have you.
just barely big enough to squeeze
Of course,
into.
get ice.
If
You
you're
need to do that
claustrophobic,
early
then this
phase,
part of the
get your
training
shift in. It
sounds
should be the first
like a
thing you start to
nightmare,
load
to
in
say the
before you
least.
hit
I remember
coolers
hearing
or
from
anything
guys
on
in
the
my
shelves,
unit
unless
that the
that's a
instructors there
weekly
are
thing,
allowed to break one
a pattern
bone in your
thing. We'll
body,
figure that out.
or they keep you in a small box
At
for
the
2
base
days
level, they're
straight
trained
while
in it. They're training in
interrogating you.
today.
And while
Refer
this
back
isn't
to
the
standard
case
model.
anymore, those
Store
rumors
walkthrough
were
C,
born out of a few
that's going to be
incidents
coolers.
that
That's the
happened
big
in
time
late
starting to
70s
pump
where
into the
Sears
coolers. That's
School
your windows
was
or
first stood
opportunities
up.
starting
So you
later in the
started a
day. Get
program
there.
to realistically
Clean
recreate the
pumps, that's an
experience of
outside
being
thing,
behind
kind of
enemy
a
lines, and
first
kind of
break,
no surprise
you
they
know,
went a
clean up
little
all
bit
that
off the
stuff
deep
after
end
you
there.
check, you know,
Sears
what's
School
going to need
came
to
out
do
of
is
the
prep up your
DoD,
tools, and
realizing
you
they
get
had
that thing
sent
set back
troops
maybe in the
woefully
time somebody can
unprepared
shift
for
over
being
with you,
captured by an enemy
or
that didn't
the other team
respect
member,
the
and
traditional
you'll
Geneva
figure out that
Convention.
together
Much
to
of the
figure out when you
techniques
can or
and
when you
teachings
can't.
for resisting
The best you
stress,
can, and try to
interrogation,
set
and
those things up so they're bing
were
bang
being
with each other,
classified. And like I
and
said, I'm
then
not looking
it
to
closes
violate
down the
OPSEC here.
timeline
So
to
thank you
a
for
very
watching the
appropriate
video.
window
Please
where I can
remember
just
to
have you
like
clip
and
it, get back
subscribe.
into it,
It
finish
helps
it
promote
off,
our content.
and then be done with it if that's the closest that you could come to finish it, but that's the break, realistically. And we'll talk about where that comes up in a few other places here in a minute. Alright, so coolers, clean pumps, and outside check garbages. Take a bag with you if you need it. Set it up. Mop sink, coffee. I check coffees, check garbages, check bathrooms. Again, after the primary check, now you're checking them to clean them here if necessary. Get the window, figure out which one of those comes first, or how you're going to set up the whole brick. You do them all at the same time, bang, bang, bang. Bathroom is a whole brick. Both of them together, garbages and bathrooms are brick, and coffee's garbage. And if you can run them all in one shot, go ahead and do so. But it is one multi-step process in there. And then store wipe down again. You're hitting it all again anyways for two reasons. One, this is taking a lot of time, and at that point you need to be able to re-clean again, and or if there's a mess that's going to come up to COVID, we want to make sure that we cover that down. We just have it in easy walkthroughs with the equipment on us. Like I said, have a rag in your pocket, carry that around like it's your uniform, And you'll have the tool. Remember, that's not the wipe down one. That's not the disinfectant one. That's at a different point inside here where we're really, those are the two phases where the wipe down is handles and everything everybody touches and not at tables. Those are very specific areas. Time it, figure out what it is in a clean system. And muffin, so store wipe down windows, sweep, mop, counter, handles, seating areas. So like I said, when you're getting trained, that becomes the term of what action somebody wants you to do. You do that task now. And then again, somebody comes in, you stop where you are, because first seat, second seat, third seat, come in, ring up, fourth seat, fifth seat, sixth, ring up, seventh seat, eighth seat. And then prep muffin area and cookie. It should have come with stock and face shelves, but in case you didn't, it's one of those ones that pops up. So we put it in C phase at the back end just to make sure you don't miss it. And it is an important task. If customers are slamming you, clean up other stores more important there. That becomes more priority, but it's in the list. Store shutdown. Figure out a time I had here, 10:15 to 11, roughly, 11:15 or whatever it is. And we'll figure out exactly what the model is. Store walkthrough, again, just hit everything once. Everything should be fairly good, or you're finishing up right now. Compressed all that time because you were hammered with customers, or a milk jug exploded in the building, whatever. Figure it out. Turn off warmers, cigarettes, lotto, numbers again. Check garbages, bathrooms, counter, inside and out. That's so everything that's a garbage you checking at Maravitos. You're just hitting it right there because it's the easiest thing, and it keeps customers happy for everybody and everything inside of there. So set up coffees, lock door. And now at the lock door phase, there's still a count till, count petty cash, and a lock up procedure, but that is your store shutdown model, and we'll get into those last two in a minute after the lock door, for you going through each individual phase in the day and signing off your system, so that way you don't get lost in the roster. I know I'm supposed to be doing something here. That is the order through one and the other, so now I can sign my name here before I move on to the next one. Before I move on to step one here, count till. Monday, that's what that is. You can see this is a type. I could have fixed in this type, but I chose to go Form 1, and I could have just done Form 1 in all these individual different ways, different models that work for people. They're going to figure out which one's best for them or not, or how they want to play it. So you give them a couple options, tile samples. This one's just, I write out the name, and underneath it we're writing out the just cleaner than not having to draw this out or have it printed in case you have to fast hand it on section 1. I don't know which way they want to go about it or what resources they want to devote to that. So keep that going, so it's basically the same weekly as the other one with the same number of steps, and you're writing every time you hit a step. You got it that way. You're at least mopping or sweeping twice potentially. Really OP. Night shift, Form 3, store walkthrough B. This is again the same thing, just a different form type. Maybe it's a little cleaner. It works for certain people better, so they like that one. It doesn't mess them up. Print out just what it is. Then you can do that again and get a little bit more bi-weekly if you wanted to about it. Here in step C, walkthrough C, I just did a double on it, and so the date and the initial go in the same box, and that way I can double down. I just compressed it a little bit with font size for XL and put it in there, print it out. And then if you can get this all to XL, great, because you can just, manager, clickety click, 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 click. And then on the how you do this, but this takes a little bit of a print out 3-ring binder from these copies, and I want to make sure you do that. So here's some options. Figure out that, do that thing you guys do, and great. Alright, so then we took that off again into the shutdown policy, and I did this one at the monthly, because those are the 4 steps really. Clock in, phase A, phase B, phase C, shutdown, and those are the 5 steps that you really have for your day. And inside of there, between A and C, A being the walkthrough, where you can kind of do stuff, but it's always in that rotation, which always works that way, and B and C, short of them compressing in the correct way. If you look at the first numbers, they're important to the orientation. And again, ending on lotto, lotto last. Cigarettes then last, but start in lotto and cigarettes. We'll get into that. But that's a monthly version. Just initial inside of there, it's by the months. So you can either 1 through 31 in October, or whatever monthly number works for you for each step for that day. Like I said, you'll hit this initial when you're done with that task. You come back in, you're going to be back to the register at some point in time. Did you finish that task? And you're going to go through all the steps. I read off in the beginning, the slam model. And then we got the tilt count. Now this one's a little different. You know, I had to keep it to basically the same model, but it's all on one page for a weekly. But you could also bump out the scale or change it to however many you want to fit. If you want a monthly, if you want whatever version, or if it has to be a daily. I don't know that. Again, also beneficial for quick way, right? You know, that's what we provide for the team. That's a skill later on in life that's really critical, good to learn. Maybe it's not something I jump into, but maybe later. Could be useful for certain stores regionally as well. Night shift 4, or then we're doing petty cash version of that. Okay, so that with safe drops. Now I know this looks like the calendar version, but they're 2 columns. Under each one, it's clock in and clock out, and then you got 16 drops to drop into with a total at the bottom. So you can just do them all. Look at the day. This is what the ones were, or pennies, dollars, and everything clocked in. Here's the safe drops I have, which take up 2 columns, which is the whole break of the out, which is 1 column, and they give you a whole week on this sheet. Then you got Lotto, which I thought, just follow the numbers. 1 is ticket 1, and put the number down so that way at least the kid doesn't get lost. Now, I don't know, again, it's something to do with the $5, $2, $3, $20 thing, and adding it up, I'm sure. This form is subject to change. It can change in scale a little bit here, just on a regular printer piece of paper. Because now it's not so compressed, I might be able to add a few extra boxes or a way to mitigate that thing in some way. And again, we can always change that form later on to which is ever going to be the easiest version now that we get this. So that's my note. Catch you on the next one.